What's up, Rockstars? How's it going? Today I'm doing a video I've planned for a long time. I've wanted to talk to you guys about it, but as I see these big campaigns either launching and now finishing or coming up, I want to really talk to you guys about how I've wasted a ton of money on Kickstarter board games. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is truly possible. I am about to tell you guys about a ton of money I have spent on Kickstarter, and that's just the stuff that I feel I've wasted, and there's actually more. It's just a quick list I put together because I am here spending money in this industry with you guys so that I can be among you and not necessarily among them, if you know what I mean with that. So if you appreciate the independence that I have in this little space here and the content that I make every single week, that's all for you guys, and that's all thanks to them. There's a link down below to my Patreon or the YouTube membership, and that does greatly help. Thank you so much. Additionally, a big shout out to Into the AM. You guys know them. I wear their shirts all the time. Here is one of my favorites. It's been my favorite for a long time. This is actually an older design. They are coming out with new designs every single week, just about. Like, it's insane, and they're all actually, like, I like every single one they've done lately. It's really, really good. So just here right now, you can see like completely new designs that they just keep pumping these out, and they are amazing. They're glow in the dark, by the way. Legit works, and it works really well. A lot of times the glow in the dark, like, it looks bad when it's not glow in the dark. It looks like a normal shirt. You wouldn't even know, but then at night, people can still see your shirt. It works actually really well. It blends in very good. It's good stuff, actually. But this, like, freaking psychedelic dude holding the globe like that, just awesome. There's a ton of great stuff here that they are doing, and it's all about quality product at a great price. There's a 10% discount code exclusive to you guys for viewing my channel, for their support of this channel. That is in the description below. Go ahead and use that. It works on their sales. It works on everything. It's pretty much like getting free shipping, which, if you've seen shipping prices lately, is always a nice thing to have. All right, now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about what I wanted to really dive in for a long time now, and I haven't. You know, I'm actually kind of behind on emails and a whole bunch of other things between the move, between getting sick. I've been really busy outside of work plus YouTube plus life stuff. It's been a mess, but I am slowly catching up, and I definitely want to talk about this before we get into another area where we have a whole bunch of these big campaigns coming out, or even the small ones, because it adds up. So, games I've wasted money on. I'm going to go and list a few here for you, though, again, because I don't do that, clickbait crap. I put this stuff on the thumbnail. You can pretty much almost skip the video half the time if you look at the thumbnail. Starcadia Quest, Forbidden Fortress, Nemesis, Aetherfield's Rising Sun, and Dungeonology, I feel I have wasted money on. Now, why is that? And I guess I should clarify. Wasted, but not fully wasted. Not like the entire cost of entry has been wasted. And I'll explain why on that too. So, one of the things we need to do, especially when you start getting stuff like this, with this like huge, like, I have more games than this. This is not everything. There's a stack there. It's not even in a freaking shelf. Stack there. It's not even in a shelf. It's just all the way to the floor, all the way up 4 Kallax shelves high, 2 deep. That's that stack there. There's more in the garage. It's a mess, okay? Now, here's the thing. Everybody plays a different amount of games, okay? Or different types of games. Some games are really compact. Some games are very big. As a person who likes the genres like dungeon crawler, like boss battler, like skirmish, right? When you hear those, you're instantly thinking, oh my gosh, okay, so you got a ton of different factions and armies and minis and enemies and campaigns, and Yes, it's all big stuff, right? These narrative-driven campaigns, I love those. I mean, it just, they come with a whole bunch of minis and stuff like that most of the time. So, that increases storage, stuff like that too. But what I'm talking about is just the sheer amount, right? At some point, there's a point where you're not really playing everything. Now, you might be that guy who has like 20 games and he plays them all, or 100 games and you play them all, or 150. Like, everybody's number is different, but you got a number somewhere where it's like, I have enough. I literally can't play any more of these. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm not necessarily being anti-collector here, but if your purchase decision is because you think the game looks good, and if the game is something that you would want to play, then this is for you. I made a video a little bit before. I'll link to it down in the description as well. And it's called, like, what makes a great game great, or a good game great, or what makes a game great. It's something like, I don't remember. Essentially, I was talking about how, in my opinion, the greatness of a game is dependent on if it hits the table or not. And this kind of plays into this. So, for instance, I have Star Wars Rebellion. I have not played Star Wars Rebellion in over 3 years. Now, why is that? Because I think I love the game. It's a fantastic game. I very much enjoy my time with Star Wars Rebellion. I love the IP. I love the game even outside of the IP. And it just but the combination of the two really marry each other well, because it creates meta stories. Like, I remember, kidnapping Jedi Chewbacca and having him watch as his Kashyyyk homeworld is destroyed by my Death Star. That is a moment from years ago that I still remember to this day. And any game that can give you memories like that, I think, is awesome. So it's a great game, except it doesn't hit my table. So for me, it's actually not a great game. It's a game I enjoy, but it's garbage at 4 players. So I don't want to play it at 2 player, and it's like a 3-hour game. So it's a 3.5 hour 2-player game, and that just ends up not hitting the table. Typically, either I have more people wanting to play, and I play something like a dungeon crawl or something like that. Or if it's a 2-player game, typically we'll play a quicker skirmish. If we have that much time at this point in our lives to play, for several hours, it's typically something like Warhammer. So I'll get 40K on the table and we'll play that. And so that tends to be where we go to, just based off our decisions. So you kind of have to ask yourself, why is a game not hitting the table, right? Why is it not getting there? But it's more than that, right? I wasted money on these games because I paid for them, because I wanted to play them, because I thought I would like them, or maybe even I do like them, but they don't get to the table. So really, when you're looking at your shelf, which I encourage you all to do, look at your shelf and ask, why have I not played that game? Why wouldn't I? So for Rebellion, I asked myself, why? It's a great game. Why haven't I? Well, it takes about 3 hours to play, and it's only 2-player. And the last few times where that would have been an option, we didn't pick it because instead we picked Warhammer. And if we're always picking Warhammer over that, then do I really need that? Now, there's something to be said about having options and about in the future what you would do. One of the great things about board games is that as long as they're not app-driven, they are supported forever, right? I mean, so you give it to your kids when you die. So 80 years from now, well, I want to play Star Wars Rebellion. Well, maybe. But I have at least learned throughout my life, especially with something like I'll play that later, or I'll want to come back to that, right? I have a category in my Steam video game library saying play again. And do you know how often that actually happens? Very rarely. And even when it does, it's not like it would be the end of the world if I didn't. Now, that's maybe anti-FOMO a little bit too, on will the world really end because you didn't get to play blank game? Well, no, of course not. You can still enjoy your gaming library and your gaming time without any game. But, in general, you should be looking and seeing, why is this not? And if so, do I need to keep it? Does this need to stay here? One thing that helps with is when you're answering that, it can help you decide better purchasing decisions in the future. And that's where I want to kind of talk to you guys about right now. So for instance, I get Rising Sun and I play Rising Sun and I don't like it. It's okay. I mean, there are pros and cons to every game. And I said as much as my review, right? I loved Bloodborne. Why? I loved Blood Rage. Why didn't I like Rising Sun? And it taught me, especially early on in my gaming career here, that I really like having all the options I want available to me at all times. In other words, if I want to marshal, if I want to do a mandate or a recruit or whatever in Rising Sun, I want to be able to plan that ahead of time. So I want to say, I want to move here and then fight here and then recruit here and do this. And that's my plan. But then your plan can go away because people can either take your options or that you just didn't happen to draw those options. And so you have to kind of react to it, and that just doesn't click with me. It's not something I enjoy. Semi-co-op from Nemesis is something I found out I did not enjoy. Or too much randomness. There's like a threshold there where suddenly the randomness is too much, and everybody's threshold will be different for that too. Or what they want out of an IP. So when I wanted an Aliens game, I wanted to feel like Ripley. Right? I wanted to feel like I'm just this bad butt person that always has a thing to deal with any situation, or can react to it, can improvise, always has a handle in the situation, but they have to work for it and, and be diligent and make good decisions. And so I felt like that wasn't a good marriage of what I wanted out of that theme, right? Compared to maybe what others are. Looking back at that, right? Looking back at abstraction or randomness or long setup time or, bulk or just too many expansions or something like that can really help you look at what's on Kickstarter right now or coming up and decide, okay, this is what I actually want or what I'll actually get to the table. Because sometimes it's a group thing. I like more games than my group plays. So inherently I will find a game interesting, but if I know my wife won't like it, or if I know that my friend won't like it, or the theme is wrong or something like that, right? If I can look and see like, okay, I would like this, but I know in my heart of hearts that my group wouldn't, it's not going to hit the table. I shouldn't be spending money on that. It's not going to help me. I can spend my money on something that actually would. Expansions are the same thing. Look at your shelf and ask yourself, how many of the expansions to a game have you played? Have you played all the expansions? Are you ever going to play all the expansions that you bought? I know people that go all in or not, right? And the hard part there is that's not how you play games, right? You don't just play a game and then play all. And again, some people will, so there are exceptions. I'm not trying to I'm talking broadly, but that's on the assumption that you guys know that there's not always something there. But you can learn a lot from just looking at your shelves and then honestly asking why didn't I like that? Now, this is a negative take on things. In other words, I'm not saying ask yourself why you do like that. You tend to already have that just inherently in you. It doesn't need to be something overtly done per se. It can help. Like, I really liked drafting, and it turns out I like drafting and all that. But at least in my experience, I tend to just know that. I don't need to critically look at my shelf and think about that. But figuring out why something, even something that you like Star Wars Rebellion, is not hitting the table, and identifying those reasons. Again, long setup time, too bulky, too long, needs too many players, or whatever it might be, then you can identify those and get to the root cause of that, and then find out it's not streamlined enough, too cumbersome, too much table spread. There are countless reasons outside of just a game even being good or bad that you might not play it. And if so, you can identify that in future ones. So as we go into this long 2022 with full of amazing and great games, where you're going to see tons of faction expansions and tons of narrative expansions and tons of this and tons of that and this flavor of thing and that flavor of thing. I think it's a good idea to just look at your shelf, realize what games you're actually getting to the table and what portion of that game you're getting to the table, and use that to back smarter. There's no shame, only pride in being accurate about what's getting played. I only admire somebody who can back something and then actually play it and like enjoy it more than a handful of times, that actually use what it is they buy. Now, again, there is a collector aspect, but at least, if nothing else, go into it knowing that. Go into it knowing I'm backing this because I want it all, even though I'm only going to play the core box. That's fine. You guys can do whatever you want with your money. It's your money to spend. And everybody has a different amount and values it differently and values this industry differently, and, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just as long as you're knowledgeable about what you're actually doing. I think that is the key. This isn't about what is a good deal versus what is a bad deal when it comes to price point and content. This has to do with what is a good deal for you, for your shelf, for your table, for your gaming group. What should you have versus what you don't actually need. that's what I've been doing lately. It's driven a lot of my purchasing decisions, looking back at why I didn't like Rising Sun, looking back why I didn't like Nemesis or Forbidden Fortress. It was the city phase for that one. The city phase that people love. I found out that while I will enjoy it if I walked in and somebody was like, hey, you want to sit down and do the city phase? I would say sure, but it won't actually hit the table for the city phase. And it's long enough to where that's almost its own session. So if you stop right after the dungeon crawl, I'm not going to, hey, you guys want to go play the city phase? It's like, well, no, we would want to play the dungeon crawl, but we have to go through the city. So I know now to look for stuff like that, where I can look at a game and be like, well, how long is that city phase? That seems pretty involved. I can start asking questions from the developer, from people who have play tested it before, or looking for it in a review for future games. Hey, is there this side mode? Is it really involved? And it is that side mode then enough to actually get it to the table as well, just for that side mode. It's why I didn't back the Darkest Dungeon, the kind of side gameplay expansion. I got everything else but that, because I don't think I would have that hit the table, because I have found that I don't typically like alternate play styles. I'll play them once or something like that, but then I'll go back to the meat and potatoes, the main thing. That's me, and that's my gaming group. And so I'm making purchasing decisions based on that. That's all I had, guys. I just thought that might be helpful for you guys. It's something I've been doing lately, and hopefully it's something that can help you as well. It's not exactly a waste of money. It is, because I don't play it, but I did learn something from it. And I think that even in our failures, even in our goofs, even in our drunk purchases or blind IP backing or whatever it might be, that, FOMO induced purchases, there's still something to be learned from that, even if it's perhaps from a negative way. In a lot of ways, that's how you learn. That's it. I would encourage you guys to, explore other genres and try new things, but then note, okay, yeah, I didn't like that, and here's why. And then you're just a better consumer afterwards from it. So anyway, that's my advice to you guys. If you have any experiences like that you would like to share, I would love to hear them, because I just shared mine, where it's like, oh, well, long setup time. There are things that sometimes you can't quite put your finger on it. You know what? Actually, I don't like that. I look back at every single game that's always been a negative for me. I just hate long player turns, or I hate whatever. So it's always helpful to hear what you guys are looking at, what you guys are critiquing, and in general, it helps you actually do it. So if it helps you do it, I would love to hear your thoughts on your collection as well. And maybe you've not made mistakes like me. I don't know. Maybe you could tell me that too. Like, what do you do to make a better purchasing decision? At the end of the day, I think we all could use some tricks and strategies around that. That's it. That's all I had, guys. Thank you so much, as always. And again, there is a link down below to that video, to that Patreon, and to Into the AM, who support this community so much. Guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. Bye, guys.